in a big rancho in Rio Bravo, Tamaulipas, 6 minutes away from the border. My paternal grandparents' ranch had a cornfield and animals. It was full of nature spirits and absent of things like car horns, sirens, traffic, and city lights in the evening, allowing me to watch the stars every night. That ranch is the reason why I refer to myself as a bruja de rancho. Bruja de rancho is an expression that was and still is used in the rural areas of Mexico. Ranchos in Mexico are rural tracts of land, usually ejidos, areas of land held in common by the inhabitants of a Mexican village and farmed cooperatively or individually. Ranchos are used to plant crops and raise ganado, cattle, horses, goats, and sheep. Many brujas de rancho were visited for services such as healing, divinatory, and advisory work. They even provided justice in cases where it was needed. La Bruja de Rancho has always been very iconic, especially for me, a figure to honor, redeem, and empower. Despite being rejected by Roman Catholics and the purist Mexican society, La Bruja de Rancho was a repository of accumulated ancestral knowledge. This knowledge was not institutionally recognized due to the systemic prejudice against women, the machismo, and the lack of access to formal education that strongly marked those communities. Especially in little ranchitos in Mexico, the practices of the Bruja de Rancho also corresponded with the natural seasonal cycle, making the process of agricultural cultivation a very spiritual process. I come from a long line of farmers. My grandparents, Marcelino and Socorro, had a working farm. The term Bruja de Rancho also describes my maternal grandmother, Diana, a woman who, without need of credentials and degrees, put the benefits of her craft at the disposal of the people of our hometown. She was my greatest inspiration, mentor, and influence. My grandma made a living of doing readings, amarres, love and domination spells, and creating powerful amulets. By comparison, the only thing my grandma Petra had on hand to work her magic were apples that had fallen to the ground. She had no time or resources for elaborate magic, since she worked long hours at an orchard. They never hid their practices from us, but we were not obligated to follow them. However, they planted the seed in us, so when circumstances made it opportune or necessary, we knew what to do. My learning was very casual, just like a baby would learn their mother's tongue. When you grow the way I did, there are no questions like, what do those nails represent? And that ring? A tear? Those scissors? A horseshoe? A key? What about this seed? What does that eye hang on the wall for? You just learn to understand some correspondence for each thing created in this universe. You learn another intrinsic language, understanding the magic everywhere. Their magic was very folkish, rudimentary, and practical, just like people in the rancho are. But I got incredibly lucky that my abuela Diana married my grandpa, a knowledgeable brujo and a skilled tarot reader who was always studying magic. I have to say that when I was young, I used to complicate my magic a lot. I wanted to make my grandfather proud of me. I even went so far as to say I would never do brujeria de rancho. But life itself put me in situations where I learned that even with extremely limited economic resources, lacking any purchasing power, brujeria de rancho was accessible for me. The purpose of this book is not to justify my path, to label it or satisfy my ego, but to give to the community the same tools, mechanics, and knowledge that was given to me. I am convinced that there is a complex confluence of events, energies, and circumstances that determines our predestined mission in life. The fact that you are listening to this book right now is one of those.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.